hello, and welcome to this live reaction edition of Talk of the Trinity podcast. I am Baz Barrett. With me is Will, Talk of the Trinity Forest. He is otherwise occupied behind the wheel, both in terms of his opinions, but also literally, because he's driving us home. So, safe driving, everybody. And also, we are joined in the back seat, quite literally in the back seat, by Jake. He is here, the number one Villa fan under the age of 15, and he will be contributing his Villa opinion during the course of this live reaction show. And we are here driving away from Villa Park after Villa 4, Southampton 0. And Will has, you may have heard in the background, that's his reaction right now. I think we could end the podcast. We don't need any verbal opinion. But it's one of those situations you can't argue with such a comprehensive win. But the scoreline doesn't tell the entire story. I mean, literally, me and Will and Jake, we're that good a fan base. We're on the opposite end of the stadium, quite literally. So, Will, from your side, on the Trinity Road, as you should be as Mr. Talk of Trinity, how did you see the game?
It was an exciting game in many ways. I thought it was a good performance. I don't think we were entirely dominant. Southampton had a lot more of the ball than us, and I'd be surprised if our percentage was more than 40. Though we looked comfortable, didn't we? We took our chances at the right time. Those 3 goals within the space of about 10 to 15 minutes either side of half time. The fact that we got people on the score sheet who needed those confidence boosters as well was great to see. All in all, though, let's be realistic. It could have been about 6-1 when you think of the couple of chances that Mr. Philip Coutinho missed. I mean, I nearly threw Jake onto the pitch at one point and he put the ball wide.
What was that, Jake or Coutinho? That talk about a great deflection. But the point you're making there in terms of what I saw from the game from my side of the stadium was it was clinical. I think in terms of, it could have been 6. So we scored 4. We took chances when we can and when the right time as well. I mean, from what I saw in terms of, I thought we were the better team in the first 10, 15 minutes. I think that may be a slightly divisive opinion. We scored when we needed to. I thought WatkIngs, great finish with a great turn. I mean, I think the defender left him kind of a lot of space, but
yeah,
he can only do what he can do in that situation. And for the rest of the first time, I thought Southampton, as you said, I think Southampton had most of the ball without really threatening, without doing very much, but hit them right when we needed to, just before half time. Then Coutinho could have made it 3-0, game over. And then second half, hit them when we needed to, first 10 minutes, and then you're looking at that situation, you're 4-0 up after 55 minutes. However good the opposition is, however good they're thinking they're playing, how unlucky it is, you're thinking 4-0 down, 55, it's like, okay, let's keep the scoreline respectable. And it was a ruthless performance. That's what I thought. I mean, in terms of, I think we played better and lost, in all honesty. But, we've talked about it previously, this new regime in charge, it's about ruthlessness, it's about, we've got to take chances when we can. And that was the perfect summing up, I thought, of what we're looking to do in terms of that game. So I'm going to pass this over to Jake now. Jake, what did you think of the game?
I think Aston Villa were the better team, except for the last 25 minutes of the. For the last 25 minutes of the first half, Southampton were the better team and they had more possession. But I think that's because we were 1-0 up, and I think we were just thinking, let's try and keep it like this until half time. But then, even though Southampton were on top and had more possession, still went on to score the second goal in the 44th minute, which was good on half time, because that would always kind of mess up the manager's talk He was already thinking it through in his head on the sideline before half time to go and score another goal. Just to change all of that. So I think it's quite good that we did score just on half time.
Yes, second goal there just before half time, absolutely vital. And talking about 2 goals on the score sheet, Ollie Watkins,
Yeah.
Danny Ings,
Oh, my man. Yes.
both scoring goals. And if you got a 2-man strike force, I mean, it sounds pretty stupid to say, but you want them both to be scoring goals because that seems like that's what you want for a partnership. You're both banging them in. But in terms of a partnership, did you see an example of this game being an evolution of a partnership, or was it very much, from your perspective, Will, 2 individualistic performers, both looking to score, both getting their goals, but not really much of an example of partnership? How did you see it from your perspective?
I was pleased with the partnership today. It's not exactly a Sheringham Shearer or a Niall Quinn, Kevin Phillips, big man, little man. You get the goals, I'll do the other stuff, and I'll chip in with one every now and again. It is very much a 2 number 9s, the Les Ferdinand, Alan Shearer, Newcastle partnership, where you expect both of them to be scoring goals for you. Today, they seemed like they started a little bit wider, and they were making runs infield behind the Southampton defenders. They were crossing over a lot. There was a lot of talking to one another on the pitch. The beauty of being on the second row from the front in the Trinity was that you could hear them talking to each other and see it very clearly. And the other thing is, we've mentioned before, Watkins has got the ball and he maybe hasn't looked for Ings runs at times. And Ings hasn't done the same with Watkins, but they were doing it today. Ings was very good at peeling off towards the back post when Watkins was getting the ball on the right. He was also good at flicking the ball on and Watkins reading where the ball was going to run to. And I think it goes to show really that they did work more for each other. Maybe it's because they're both the number 9s now and one of them isn't having to appease the other. However, and I don't know whether you noticed this, Baz, but it's something that Jake picked up on in the game. Whenever we did score from the second, third and fourth goal, that is, not the first one, so not every time, but when we scored our last 3 goals, Gerrard would say to Ings, just drop in and go more to that number 10. So it sort of turned back to the 4-3-2-1 with Buendia and Ings behind Watkins at those points. But then when we'd weathered the storm for 5 minutes or so, and there wasn't a lot of time really to weather the storm, in between the third and the fourth, we went back to a 2-pronged attack, and it was promising. Would it work against Leeds? Yeah, I think it could do. And when you play against the West Ham side, who are on a bit of a rocky patch, but probably realise that the best team to play when you're on a rocky patch is Aston Villa, as goes to show with Southampton today, don't play Villa when you're doing quite well. Maybe having Watkins and Ings both up front against their solid enough back 4 will do us the world of good and help us to get a result that only a few weeks ago we would have thought was nigh on impossible.
I think, from my perspective, the goal that Watkins scored and the goal that Ings scored very much sum up very individually what they both bring to the team. Watkins, he was a bit up, getting the first header, hold up play. I mean, spun the defender perfectly, comfortably. I think a bit too easy if I'm from the Southampton perspective. Had a great finish. Whereas Ings, it was very much instinctive. Yeah. Like, cross came in, first time finish, bang, bottom corner. And that's what we've been saying pretty much through the entire season, to be honest. I mean, Ings is the more natural, instinctive finisher. I mean, we talked about it. You mentioned it earlier in terms of Ings isn't doing the most running around in the entire world. He's getting himself in those positions to finish, and he did today. And Watkins is the one who, if you're looking at work rate as the number one important factor in terms of your striker, which depending on the system. It may very well be. That's what Watkins contributes, and it's going to be interesting to see moving forward how you can accommodate two they're very different in styles, to be fair. I mean, two very individualistic performances today, two very individualistic goals, summing up how they both play. But, you know, in terms of, if you're a Villa fan, if they're both scoring, you don't really care how they're going in. You know, in terms of, unless you're having an absolute nightmare defensively, if you're scoring 2 goals a game, you're going to be getting more wins than not. So it'll be interesting to see in terms of whether Gerrard continues with his formation, this 4-3-1-2. And to be honest, you know, you mentioned Leeds on Thursday. They're not exactly in the greatest run of form, and we've played this formation 2 games, scored 6, conceded none, 2 wins. You've got to think we're going to be given another run out on Thursday.
Well, you'd hope so, definitely. I think I'd argue the point, and I do so respectfully. I think Ings works very hard off the ball as well. A lot of tracking back today, a lot of tackles he was putting in. There was one bone-crunching tackle he put in the first half. Was it because it was against Southampton? Potentially.
Well, he very respectfully celebrated his goal. You know, didn't want to jump up and down. Luckily, the rest of the Villa players jumped up and down enough to make up for it.
I mean, from a world-class midfield point of view, and I'm not talking about Philippe Coutinho here, because we've got an absolutely world-class midfielder in the car with us. We've got captain of Cadbury Athletic under 11s, Jake.
I thought you were going to say me then.
Well, you're a little bit too old for the under 11s nowadays, aren't you? You're more walking football, I'm wheelchair football. Jake, if you're playing in midfield, are Ings and Watkins working hard enough for you, or do you think that they're just 2 predators who will stick the ball in the back of the net?
I feel like if we're basing it on you, like you're not usually. I feel like yes, they both drop in to help get the ball. They're both very helpful strikers, and they can both score their goals. And then if you're going off of today, I feel like Watkins was a lot more helpful because obviously, like, Ings, he hurt his knee at the start, and yes, he did run it off, but to start with, after it just hurt his knee, he wasn't really helping put the attacks together. And like every time the ball came to him, it kind of slowed the attack down, which I think was quite big in the fact that yes, we didn't need a goal, but we wanted a goal, and we were playing a lot down the side that Ings was on. The ball kept going to Ings, so he couldn't really help create.
I suppose you could say that after he got his injury and he ran it off, Ings could only get better.
To be fair, that is all we look for in life, you know, Ings could only get better. And he did, to be fair, you know, he was the icing on the cake in terms of that full goal. And when you win 4-0, obviously the emphasis goes on the attacking play, and that's basically what we talked about so far in this episode of the podcast. But I want to give a shout out to Callum Chambers, playing at centre back. You have to anticipate that he wasn't in line to play today. I mean, in terms of obviously Entry Conter, Luca Dean out the team last minute, you have to anticipate maybe medical issues perhaps. I mean, in terms of if it would have been the team written on Friday, you would have anticipated they both played.
Well, let's be completely honest, not everybody put Luca Dean into their starting lineup, did they?
That's true.
We spoke before the match and we asked Jake what his starting lineup would be, and he put Ashley Young at left back, and we ridiculed him a little bit, politely ridiculed an 11-year-old, but still we asked him what he'd had for breakfast and what he put on his Weetabix, because we wanted a little bit of that if we thought Ashley Young was starting.
And he did, and to be fair, you know, I was talking about Callum Chambers, but I'll briefly mention Ashley Young.
I do apologise, sorry.
I thought he had a solid game, to be fair. I mean, the Watford game, he came on. He got in the wrong body position for the Watford goal, and there was a little bit of criticism his way by me and probably other people. But he came in the team, to be fair, probably last minute, probably wasn't expected to play. Solid performance, I think, last year, to be fair. But Callum Chambers coming in, centre back, alongside Tyrone Mings. I mean, I think Callum Chambers might potentially be overlooked. Obviously came through the Southampton youth system, and I know we talked about Danny Ings not celebrating because he was former Southampton, but Chambers was the one who you could say literally Southampton made his career, really. And I thought he gave a really assured performance at the back, and I think it might sound a bit crazy to say when you win 4-0, it's like, oh, well, why are you picking a defender as a very good performer? For me, he was the best Villa performer, to be honest. I mean, he was solid. He did what he needed to do. I mean, I think there was one tackle where he kind of, well, he got booked and deserves to get booked. Frankly, kind of lunging in on the edge of the penalty area. But considering you have to assume he wasn't expecting to be playing when he got up today, I thought it was a very solid performance. And we were having a talk before the game in terms of Callum Chambers and his value to the squad. Considering he came in on what we are led to believe is a free transfer, being able to slot in and give that performance, I think was very good indeed. I think we have to give him the highest credit.
Oh, definitely. And I'll be completely honest with you. For my tea tonight, I'm going to have a side of chips with my words that I'm eating. Callum Chambers was a very solid performance today. It was his best performance in the Villa shirt. He played well against Watford, to be fair, until he made a mistake that led towards the goal in that transition. And Ashley Young as well was at fault for the Watford winner. Though Chambers looked assured, he looked everything that you'd expect him to look. He's not exactly Ezri Konsa in regards to potential and calmness and whatnot on the ball, but he's a very, very good understudy for the team, and he did put in a solid enough performance. I will, though, and you mentioned it's strange to pick a defender as your man of the match. I picked a defender as my man of the match. I picked Matty Cash. I thought Matty Cash intercepted the ball very well today. He was a lot more responsible defensively, but he also managed to get forward and win the free kick just before the third goal and set up the fourth one as well. Walker Peters caused him a few problems, and so did Brozier towards the end of the game on that side, but not too much. We've kept a clean sheet. In regards to man of the match, though, I mean that's two opinions. Jake, who was your man of the match?
For me, my man of the match was Ollie Watkins. He was everywhere we needed him to be. When we needed him to score, he scored. He was helping his options when he needed to, and I just think he was our best player today.
And speaking of everywhere you need to be, that perfectly sums up Talking Trinity podcast, and also Talking Trinity Twitter, Talking Trinity on our audio channels. We're on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Deezer,
Bridge Freezer.
Yep, some others. We signed Malteser. We signed up to Fan Hub. We're there. We're everywhere. And, like us all over the Southampton goal today, absolutely swarming in terms of our precision finishing. And that sums up absolutely perfectly our post-match review of Villa Southampton. Villa 4, Southampton 0. Absolutely great to be able to report in the aftermath of the game an absolutely dominant result, just to be fair. And hopefully, 2 clean sheets in a row, onwards and upwards. In terms of it maybe taking a little bit of time, but we got Leeds Thursday. I mean, we'll be giving our full Leeds preview later on towards the game, but seemed fairly confident ahead of Thursday. You got to say after that performance.
Definitely. Providing that Lucadin or Etriconta don't go sneezing on Philip Coutinho, I'm incredibly confident. It was a great win. It was a great day all round, not just because us three got to witness a great Villa win and probably the best Villa win of the Steven Gerrard era. Maybe you could put the Leicester City 2-1 in there as well, arguably. But we also got to meet Dave from the Irish Lions. Dave, Martinez Dance Dave, came over in his green Emi Martinez shirt as well, which made it all the better. It was great to see and meet him. But as you say, we're here, we're there, we're everywhere. Talk of the Trinity on YouTube, at Talk Trinity on Twitter, on all of the podcasts that you've mentioned, and you can also find us on Little Chocolatey Balls as well, apparently, from now on. But until next time, we're going to do a cheers tar. Thank you very much. I'm Villa till I die. Up the Villa.